All right, hello, good evening, everyone. Welcome to Yin. I'm Trish, and we're going to open up through the upper body and through the hands tonight. So, for tonight's class, grab a hard spiky ball or maybe a golf ball if you've got one. If you don't, a tennis ball will work as well, but because we're working with our hands, preferably something a little harder. Okay, and then grab all your props. You've blocks, bolster, and a blanket if you are cold. Okay, we're going to start off tonight in a nice supported heart opener. So let's come into seated butterfly and then bringing the soles of your feet together, lengthening up through your spine, relax your shoulders away from the ears, holding onto your shins or to your feet. Let's just gently feather the knees up and down a few times. And just breathing into the hips, checking in with the body. Notice how your hips are feeling this evening. Are they feeling open? Are they feeling tight? Okay. And then from here, we're going to set up the blocks. So option one is to put your blocks in this position, and then you can put a couple, if you have a couple of cushions, you can pop your cushions underneath the knees for a little bit of extra support. Okay. If you want support for your knees and you don't have, if you've only got two blocks, feel free to use a bolster. So the other option is to put your bolster back and use your blocks to support your knees to support your hips. Okay, so this is option two, where we've got this, and then you've got either cushions or blocks to bring underneath your knees. So find your option that you're going to work with tonight. So if we're working with two blocks, the first block is on its highest end. The second block can either be on its middle end or on its lowest end, depending on the flexibility of your back. And then you want to grab the other two blocks or the cushions, keep them at even height. All right, and then from here, we start with the knees together, feet to the edges of the mat. So we're creating a little bit more space through the lower back. And then we're going to bring our hands down, hug your belly into the spine, and gently start to arch yourself back. So from here, when you're down on your forearm, take your other hand and guide the block so that it is in between your shoulder blades. Make sure it's not too low on your lower back. So as I lean back, I can feel the top of the block at my shoulders. And then from here, keep the chin tucked in, and then bring the block to the back just behind your head. From here, you can either keep the knees bent, you can extend the legs out, or maybe you can bring your feet together and then bringing the cushions or the other blocks underneath your knees, just to help support the hips, and then relaxing down. So make sure there is no pinching in the lower back. If there is pinching in the lower back, that block that's underneath the shoulders, you might need to slide it up a little bit higher up towards the head, or maybe turn it onto its lower end. And keeping the belly hugging in towards the spine. Just gently starting to close down the eyes, cutting out the external world. And just starting to bring your focus and awareness a little bit deeper into the body and into the breath. And so as you inhale, starting to draw that breath all the way down into your hips, into the belly. Feeling that expansion of the belly like a balloon. And then from the belly, just starting to fill the full capacity of the lungs from the bottom, middle, top, right side and back. Breathing into the heart center. Perhaps another breath into the neck and throat. And as you exhale, just gently starting to soften, softening through the hips, allowing your knees to melt that little bit further out to the sides if you're in a butterfly. If you need more space for your lower back, just tuck your tailbone under and then relax your back down. And then softening from the hips up through the abdomen. Abdomen up through the chest and shoulders, maybe starting to widen out across your shoulder girdle, widening through the collarbones. And from the shoulders, softening up through the neck and throat. Unclenching the jaw, softening up through the face, the cheeks, eyes, leaving the eyes heavy in their sockets and softening through the eyebrow center, and keeping the tip of the tongue gently resting on the roof of the mouth behind the two front teeth so the energy circuit's connected. And then from here, just deepening the breath. So we should feel nice and supported in this position, allowing the chest, the hips to melt open. The exhale, just melting down onto the block. Maybe if you have your block, the one underneath your shoulders on its middle end, you can start to feel like a little massage using the edges of the block in between the shoulder blades and just keeping the belly hugging in towards the spine. If your hands are by the hips, now you can start to open the chest and bring the hands up by the shoulders if it feels okay. Make sure there's no shaking or pulling, feeling. Just deepening the breath. Melting, opening up through the chest, opening up through the intercostals. Okay, we'll take a couple more nice deep breaths here. And then when you're ready, let's lift the pelvic floor, the muscles used when you stop your wee midstream. Hug your belly into the spine. If you need to, you can bring your hands onto the sides of the legs. And on the next inhale, bringing the knees back together. And then from here, we're just going to lift the head, engage your core, and then turn to your side, come onto your forearm, gently releasing the blocks. And then roll yourself back down onto your back. From here, just gently draw the knees from side to side. And then just extend the legs out. Maybe a little shake out in the hip sockets for the screen wipers with the feet. And then just coming into your Shavasana for a minute as we release out of that long hold. So after a gentle mobilizing twist, come into stillness and just take a couple of nice deep breaths here into the body. And just checking in, notice how you're feeling. Noticing any subtle changes, breath or energy flowing. And feeling a little bit more expansive across the chest. Okay, when you're ready, gently start to wriggle the fingers and toes, getting them a little bit back into the body, circling wrists and ankles in one direction and then back the other way. And then reach the hands up above the head, stretching out from your fingers to your toes, maybe just pointing and flexing the feet. A little side stretch from side to side. And then when you're ready, bend the knees, hug the knees into the chest, roll yourself into a little ball, bringing your nose in towards your knees, and then lengthening shoulders, neck, and head back down, keeping the shoulders away from the ears. Just gently rock yourself from side to side. As you rock from side to side, widen out through the hips, and just lengthening the sit bones down towards the long end of your mat. Keeping the shoulders relaxed away from the ears. And then let's just gently circle the knees a few times in one direction. And then gently back the other way. Okay. From here, let's just draw the knees to one side and then support yourself to come up into seated. All right, we're going to grab our little spiky ball now, or our golf ball. And we're going to sit in a comfortable position. I'm going to sit on my heels. If that's not comfortable for you, sit cross-legged or whatever's comfortable. And we're going to start to use the ball and just give ourselves a little bit of fascial release and self-massage through the palm of the hand and through the forearm. So from here, I personally like to do this on sitting on my heels, so I can kind of lean forwards and then push my weight into the spiky ball. Okay, if that's not comfortable, feel free to sit cross-legged, and then you can do the same. All right, and so from here, we're just wanting to start to feel a little bit of sensation, this massaging sensation across the palm of the hand, and then maybe starting to make little circles, so almost like a rolling Play-Doh. And so all this time that we spend on all our devices, we are putting a lot of work into that thumb. So really starting to massage with a spiky ball through your mount of Venus, and then around the entire palm. And just using the amount of pressure that feels good. So if you want a little bit more pressure, you can kind of put your other hand on top of it. And as you do that, just starting to open up through the hands as well, opening up through the palms of your hands. So as we start to release and create a little bit more space, we can open the fingers a little bit wider, open up through the palm a little bit wider. And just keep breathing into it. So sometimes after all day when we're at work and we're crunching the fingers up, so we can start to feel that release. Okay, and then perhaps coming a little bit lower down onto the wrist and onto the forearm as well. And once again, just using the amount of pressure that feels good for your body. So it should feel quite nice and relaxing, maybe a little bit tight if the hands are tight. Okay. Maybe into the fingers as well. Spread the fingers nice and wide and then roll them onto the ball. So you can be rolling the ball, or sometimes if there's a tight spot, I'm just kind of digging my hand into the ball here. Whatever feels good. All right. And then from here, just gently release. Give the hand a little shake out. And then shake both hands out. All right, little twinkle stars. And maybe just check in, notice how you're feeling one side compared to the other. And then little fists. All right. And then just circle the wrists a few times in one direction. Back the other way. Little figure eight in one direction. And back the other way. And then open the hands nice and wide. And then just drawing circles. And back the other way. Okay. And a little figure eight. And then back the other way. Shake it out. Compare how one side maybe feels a little bit looser than the other side. Okay, let's do the second side now. So grab your ball and then come onto the second side. Once again, just whatever is a comfortable seated position, and then starting to put your weight down onto it. And just breathing into it. So you can just roll it. Otherwise, maybe just staying, if you find a spot that feels quite nice, you might just want to put a little bit of pressure there. One hand might be different to the other as well because of the way we use our devices. And then as we start to release, starting to spread the fingers a little bit wider as well as we create space. And just keep the breath flowing. Perhaps coming down towards the wrist and the forearm. And then maybe into the fingers. We'll take a couple more nice deep breaths here. Opening up through all those tendons. And then ready, let's gently release it here. Give it a nice shake out. And then shake both hands out. And then little twinkle stars. Little fists. And then circling your fists in one direction. Back the other way. Little figure eight. Back the other way. And then clasp your hands and make a little figure eight. And back the other way. Okay, get a little shake out now. Let's stretch out through the hands. So from here, let's come almost into tabletop. Hands are shoulder width apart, but your hands are quite close in towards your knees. So fingers are pointing back towards your knees and palms are facing down to begin. Okay, shoulders away from the ears, and as we exhale, we're going to start to draw the bum back towards the heels and feeling that stretch now into your wrists. Perhaps just gently rocking from side to side. If this is very intense, come back up, bring your hands closer in towards your knees. If you want a little bit more, then walk your hands a little bit further away from the knees. Keep the shoulders nice and relaxed. As we rock from side to side, just getting a nice little stretch here. Okay, and then let's lift up through the heels of the hands, pulling the thumbs back towards you. So now you're stretching the palm of the hand. And once again, continuing with that gentle rocking motion from side to side. Coming up onto the fingertips without putting too much pressure onto the joints of the fingers. So we're pulling the fingers back towards, the thumbs back towards us. Okay, and then just gently release, come back up, shake your hands out. And then little twinkle stars, little fists. And then circling the wrists in one direction, back the other way, little figure eight, back the other way. Okay, shake it out, interlace the fingers, and then make a little figure eight in one direction and back the other way. Okay, give it another shake out. We're going to get into the tops of the wrists now. So maybe just start to lengthen out through your fingers, and then so we're creating length there, and then we start to bend the fingers back. All right, so we're bending the fingers down, and then from here we're coming back down. Hands are shoulder width apart, coming onto the tops of the wrists. All right, so from here, just make a few little circles. Try to spread, so the palms are facing up this time, and we're drawing a few little circles with the hips and the shoulders. So we're just feeling that motion starting to give a little massage. The tops of the wrists, and then maybe starting to draw the hips back towards the heels, and then a gentle swaying motion from side to side. And then from here, come back up, change the angle of your hands. So from our fingers pointing in, we change the angle so the fingers are pointing towards each other, and then rocking from side to side. Some gentle circles. Okay, and then from here, let's change the angle again. So we take the fingers to point away from each other, and then same thing, we just draw gently rocking from side to side, and then maybe coming forwards and circling. The other way. Okay, when you're ready, let's gently release, come back up, give your hands a little shake out. Get the feeling back in the hands, and then little twinkle stars, little fists, and then circling the wrists, and up the other way. Nice, smooth, fluid motion, and then a little figure eight. And back the other way. Okay, spread the fingers wide, and then as you're circling, circle it with the wrist with each finger first, and then back the other way. And then just do a little figure eight with open palms. Back the other way. Okay, and let's now circle each digit. So we're drawing a circle with each finger. Back the other way. And then a little figure eight with each digit. And back the other way. Okay. Give it a nice shake out. Clasp the hands, and then a little figure eight. Okay. Give it a nice shake out, and then from here we're going to come down onto our belly into Sphinx for a moment. So bring your elbows underneath your shoulders and feet are hip width extended out, lengthening up through the spine as you inhale, reaching the heart forwards, widening the shoulders, and then sliding the shoulders back down away from the ears. Just breathing into the heart and keep the tailbone rolling under, rolling the tops of the thighs in towards each other, and that TVA band is rolling back. Let's take another breath or two. Getting a nice opening through the front of the body a little bit more. Maybe starting to reach the heart forwards as you ground the elbows back into the mat, pulling the elbows back towards the hips. And then exhale, come back down. All right, we're going to take your right hand and you're going to bring it out in line with your shoulder. So palms facing down. And then from here, you're going to turn to the side of your head, walk the fingers away from you. So we've just done all that work with the hands. So hopefully your hands feel nice and open, that you can put the palm facing down, spread the fingers wide, pop your hips across towards the left. And then from here, you can either just take the top leg back or maybe bending that top knee to start to stack the hips, and then you can bring your other hand. So I'm going to do this side. So on the right side, I'm not mirroring tonight, so I'm just doing this so that I can see everyone. And then your other hand can be next to your face, and then gently start to roll the top shoulder back. So once your hips are stacked, so that top leg, maybe bring it back or maybe bring that knee up so you can keep the stacking of the hips without the hips going back too far, and then starting to roll the top shoulder back. So option one is just bring your hand in front of you, come onto your fingertips, elbow reaching to the sky, and then as you exhale, you can start to roll that top shoulder back. So you should feel this really nice opening all the way from that shoulder through the upper arm, above and below the elbow, and all the way out through your forearm into the hand and the fingertips. Just try to spread the fingers nice and wide. And then from here, you can either keep that left hand by your face or maybe take it around and slide it around into your waist. Just breathing into it. Opening up through that right arm. As you start to release, maybe you can start to extend a little bit further out through the fingertips. Feel like you're trying to reach the fingertips to the wall behind you. Keep deepening the breath, softening the face. As you start to release, maybe you can roll that top shoulder back a little bit further. And bringing your awareness deep inside that arm. So make sure that your body awareness is deep inside. We're not feeling like the hand's going to be falling asleep, and we're really feeling where it's tight, breathing into those areas. Using the breath and the awareness to help release. We'll just take a couple more nice deep breaths here. And then when you're ready, gently release the hand from the hip if it's bound. Bring your hand forward, straighten the top of the leg, and then let's come back through Sphinx. So lengthening up through the spine, tailbone is rolling under, reaching the heart forwards, shoulders away from the ears. Keep widening through your shoulders. Just breathing into your heart, and then just maybe just gently sway a little bit from side to side. Check in, notice how you feel, maybe one side compared to the other. Okay, let's even it up. So coming back down, take your other hand out by the shoulder, palm is facing down. Maybe walk the fingertips away so there's space, and then roll into the side. Bring your hips across slightly, walk the hands out, and then gently start to roll yourself back on the second side. Keep reaching the fingertips back behind you. You can feel an opening maybe through the top hip as well if you've got your knee to the sky. And starting to breathe into the stretch. Feel that opening the chest through the shoulder. You might feel a little bit of compression through the shoulder blade and just starting to soften. Wherever there's tension. Deepening the breath. As you start to release, and then roll that top shoulder back a little bit further. Stacking the shoulders. And taking that top hand and bringing it around into your waist, if that feels good. Or just resting it behind the back, so we're feeling that opening through the top shoulder as well. Bringing your awareness deep into that bottom arm. Feeling maybe in your mind's eye, if your eyes are closed, you can visualize all those little tight areas and a message from the mind to the body to soften and release. We'll just take a couple more nice deep breaths here. And then when you're ready, we're going to gently release. So releasing the top hand, bring the hand down, release your leg, and let's come back into Sphinx. Reaching the heart forwards, rolling the tailbone under, and then lengthening the spine. Widening through the shoulders, and then rolling the heads of your shoulders back in. So you reach the forwards, and then grounding the elbows back into the mat. Breathing into the chest, breathing into the heart center, widening across your collarbones, and then keeping the tailbone rolling under, but we're pushing into the elbows as we reach the heart forwards, and then feel like you're drawing your elbows back towards your hips without your elbows actually moving. Keeping the spine nice and long, and then from here, maybe keeping the neck long, start to roll your chin in towards the throat, and then very slowly, like you're moving underwater. Turning the head from side to side, releasing the neck. Keeping the front of the throat active. Just breathing. Neck into the shoulders where we're feeling the stretch. A couple of nice deep breaths here, doing a little bit of somatic movement, so your head can be up or down. Just gentle exploration of movement. Okay, and then when you're ready, we're going to come into dragonfly, half dragonfly arm, and our frog leg. Okay, so take your right leg now, and then bring your right foot out. Knee is in line with your hip. Your ankle is in line with your knee. Now we're going to take this right hand now and we're going to slide it through. Okay, so keep your spine straight and we're going to slide it through. You can start with your palm facing up or maybe start to bring the palm facing down. Your other hand's going to come forwards and then you're going to rest your forehead onto your forearm. Okay, so have a little check and make sure your knee is in line with your hip. Okay, and then that side arm is sliding out just underneath your armpit. So this is how I look on one side. If I come onto the other side, I will look like this. So this bottom hand is just coming out underneath my armpit, palm facing down ideally. Otherwise, if it's super uncomfortable, have your palm facing up, other elbow is bent. And then we're just resting the forehead onto the forearm. And then just melting down here. And so keep softening through that right hip, allowing that hip to melt down towards the floor without pushing. Make sure that your knee and your ankle are at that 90-degree angle. And feeling a little compression on the right side through your lung points, just underneath the collarbone. Feeling that winding down through that right arm, all the way from the shoulder. Feel like it's a rope and you're winding it down towards your thumb and your index finger. Use your hand if you like to help wind it. And then just relaxing and breathing into the stretch. So we're in a half frog leg, and then Catherine, so right leg is the half frog and then right hand is sliding out underneath. And just breathing into wherever you're feeling it. Mm. Mm. Keep widening out across the collarbones, keep widening across the back as you melt down, creating a little bit more space for you to melt. Mm. Okay, we're just going to take a couple more nice deep breaths here. Try to soften as much as you can for these last few. And then when you're ready, start to lift the pelvic floor, belly hugs into the spine. Start to inhale, lengthening up, bring your chest back up into Sphinx position. And then from here, straightening that right leg. Reach the heart forwards, shoulders away from the ears. And then from here, just maybe sway your hips a little bit from side to side. Just check in, notice how you're feeling one side compared to the other. So maybe you feel a little bit more open through the lower back after that little compression through the SI joint. And then with your half frog, and then maybe feeling a release on that right shoulder or the right side of the chest as we come out of that shape. And so from here, you can just breathe into the heart or breathe into the long points in your Sphinx pose, or a little bit of somatic movement if it feels good. And then when you're ready, let's gently come back and transition to the second side. So let's take the left leg this time. Slide the knee out in line with the hip, and foot is in line with the knee. And from here, we're going to take the left hand, we're going to slide it underneath the armpit, and then keep your spine nice and straight so you're not reaching to the left. Your spine is nice and straight, and then bending that right elbow and then resting your forehead onto the forearm. We're just going to melt down here for another few minutes. Start to release through the hip. Maybe you can slide your knee a little bit further out to the side, maintaining that 90-degree angle. Winding down through that left arm, down to the thumb and index finger. Just take a couple more nice deep breaths here. And try to release as much as you can for these last few breaths. Maybe winding down that left arm, deepening as you start to flatten the palm a little bit more into the mat. Okay, when you're ready, let's lift the pelvic floor, hug the belly into the spine. Inhale, start to lift the chest back up, back into your Sphinx, and then straightening that leg out. Reaching the heart forwards, make sure there's no pinching in the lower back, maybe some gentle swaying motions, checking in, notice how you're feeling. A bit of somatic movement. Okay. And then when you are ready, let's just stretch one arm out and then roll yourself onto your back. Come into Shavasana for a minute, maybe just shake the legs out. And then just allow everything to settle. Just taking some nice deep breaths here into the body, checking in with how you're feeling. Perhaps feeling a little bit that you can breathe a little bit more deeply. So we've put a little bit of compression onto those long points. Opening through the chest. Perhaps you can feel the sensation of your blood and your energy flowing all the way back down through your shoulders, down through the arms and into the fingers. And just keeping the breath deep and flowing. And just observing the breath, observing the energy. When you're ready, gently bring some movement back in, wriggling fingers, wriggling toes, a bit of mobilization, stretching out. Maybe a little side stretch from side to side. And then when you're ready, hug the knees back into the chest. And then rocking from side to side. Keep widening the hip crease and lengthening the sit bones down towards the long end of your mat. And then just gently circle the knees a few times in one direction and then gently back the other way. Okay, we're going to come into reclined cow face pose now with option for more butterfly legs. So if it's comfortable, maybe grab your blocks. You can pop blocks or cushions underneath your knees. Otherwise, if from here, so you guys stay on the ground. I'm just going to come up to show you what you're going to do with your hands. So one hand's going to come up and it's going to be behind your head. The other hand's going to come around the back. So at the back, we're not trying to get the hands to touch. One palm is your top hand. Your palm is going to be facing inwards at the back of your heart center. The other one is going to be facing outwards. Okay, now in normal cow face pose, we try to straighten the elbows and then we straighten the head. But because we're going to be on the ground, your top elbow is going to be slightly away from your head so that your spine can stay nice and straight. Okay, so stay on the ground. This is just, I just came up so I can show you what you're doing. Okay, so from your position, you can either keep your knees bent, you can straighten your legs out or come into butterfly. So roll slightly onto your side and you're going to take your left hand and then you're going to bend the elbow back and bring that hand underneath so that that left hand is now at the back of your chest, right? And then take your right hand and you're going to bring it up, but have your elbow slightly to the side off the center of the head, and that palm is going to be facing in towards your back. Okay, and then from here, we relax down. So legs is whatever is a comfortable option for you. You can keep opening the hips up with butterfly, or you can bend the knees. Breathing into it. Deepening the breath. Hmm. Hmm. Very slowly, when you're ready, we're going to slowly transition. So if your legs are in butterfly, you can maybe start to lift the pelvic floor, belly hugs in. Bring the knees back together. Extend your arms out, and then just extend them out, and then just gently turn the palms one way and the other way. So we turn the palms up and down a few times. And then if you like, make some Shiva arms. Just get the feeling back into the arms. Exploring range of motion, maybe bringing the arms up above the head, maybe out to the sides. Okay. And then let's do the other side. So bring your left hand up and then bringing that behind the upper back. And then take your other hand and then bringing the elbow back behind us. Arms facing down of your right hand. And here you can keep the knees bent, slide the legs out, or come back into butterfly. So you're in a comfortable position. Just melting down for the second side. So you want to feel a bit of sensation, but nothing too intense. So using the breath to deepen. Perhaps also just observing if you're holding tension anywhere else in the body, through your face or your jaw, through your forehead or your eyes. Soften those areas. Nice deep breaths here. Really soften and release as much as you can for these last few breaths. And then when you're ready, lifting the pelvic floor, belly hugs in, gently inhale, knees back together. Releasing the arms and then just taking the hands, turning the palms one way and the other. Back into your Shiva arms, just exploring the movement, getting the blood and energy flowing back into your hands. Take your hands, twist them and move them around. Okay. And then when you feel that the blood and energy is back in your arms, you can bend the knees, hug the knees back in towards the chest, and just gently rock from side to side, massage out through the back. And then circle your knees a few times in one direction. And then gently back the other way. Okay, I'm going to come into an open twist on the ground now. So Sheila, if you want, you can do see if you want to do this lying down. Otherwise, you can do this seated. All right, from here, we're just going to take the arms out. Palms are facing down, grounding the hands at shoulder height. Now, pop the hips across to the right. Inhale. As you exhale, you're going to drop the knees across towards the left. Tonight, we're going to look in the same direction as our knees. So we're using this as a nice opening twist, okay? So lengthen the spine from the base of the spine to the crown of the head. And then as you exhale, hug your belly into the spine and start to imagine now that your spine is a spiral staircase. So we're going to start to walk down the staircase from the crown of the head and walking down from the direction of your left towards your right. So with the inhale, we lengthen, and as we exhale, we draw the belly into the spine, and in your mind's eye, visualize yourself walking down that central staircase of your spine. And as you come down through your neck, you might feel that opening through the right side of your neck. As you inhale, breathing into that top side of your neck, and then as you exhale, lengthen the spine, hug the belly in, and maybe coming down through the chest and starting to open up through the heart center. Maybe winding from the left fingertips all the way across to the right. So you're opening up through your wingspan, opening through the chest. Hugging the belly in, maybe coming further down through the solar plexus, through the abdomen, and then along the nerve endings all the way through to the base of the spine. And just staying here and just breathing into the chest, breathing into the heart. Keep widening out across your shoulder girdle, widening out through your collarbones, all the way out through to the tips of your fingers. And just breathing into the opening that we've got. If you want a little bit more, maybe you can take that top leg if it's accessible and extend the foot out and maybe hold the knife edge of your foot so that bind, and then you're starting to wind a little bit deeper away from the spine. So continuing with that opening motion, keeping the hips level. So we're opening and reaching out from the right side, opening through the ribs, opening through the chest, extending out through your right fingertips. And belly stays hugging into the spine. We're widening out across the hip crease, especially on the right side. Nice deep breaths here. And then when you're ready, if your leg is down, put your top foot, bending that top knee, hug the belly in towards the spine. Slowly inhale back to center, bring the hips back into the middle, and then just gently hug your knees back into the chest, just rocking yourself from side to side. Massaging out through the back, checking in with the body. Notice how you feel, maybe one side compared to the other. You're ready, supporting the knees. Some gentle movement that feels good. And then we'll do the other side. So stay where you are. I'm just going to turn around so that I'm facing the camera and you can see everyone. All right, so grounding through our hands, palms facing down, grounding the arms at shoulder height, popping the hips across to the left this time. Inhale. As you exhale, keep the left shoulder grounded and dropping the knees across to the right. And just breathing into the body here. Take a couple of nice deep breaths, keeping the shoulders grounded, and see if we can turn your eye gaze a little bit further into the right hand. The belly's hugging into the spine. And then let's inhale, lengthen up through your spine, and as you exhale, hug the belly in and starting to descend down your spiral staircase from the crown of the head, from the direction of your right towards your left. And opening up through that left side of your neck. The inhale, breathing into that space, flooding with fresh oxygen, fresh energy. Lengthening the spine, and as you exhale, belly hugs in. As you descend further down your staircase, opening up through the chest, widening out across your wingspan, through your shoulders at the back, your collarbones at the front. Spine long, in, maybe coming further down through the solar plexus and the abdomen, all the way down to the base of the spine. Stay here, otherwise if it's accessible, maybe take the top leg out and then holding onto the knife edge of your foot with your right hand, and then you can use that bind. If that creates tension in the body in the back, then keep the knee bent. Just focus on opening up through the chest here as we keep winding and opening away from the spine. Belly stays hugging in towards the spine. And we're just creating space, especially through the chest on the upper body, not through the entire body. All right, when you're ready, let's release the bind, bending the top knee, belly hugs in. Slowly inhale back to center, bring the hips back into the middle, lengthen the spine, and then hug both knees into the chest. From here, just gently massage it out as you rock from side to side. Let's check in with the body, notice how you're feeling, and circling the knees a few times in one direction, and then gently back the other way. And then circle the knees opposite directions, back the other way. Come into your happy baby. Bring the soles of the feet to the sky as if you're about to walk on the ceiling. Hold either the backs of your knees, your calves, your ankles, or the outside edges of your feet. And then widening through the hips. Gently rocking from side to side as we start to flatten the back onto the mat. Feeling that bind deepening, maybe rolling the tailbone back towards the floor. So flatten through the back. And now little back bends. Okay. From here, give the legs a nice shake out. And just finish off with a nice little neck release. So you're going to grab your block. Maybe just lift your head and maybe bring your hands onto your thumbs onto the back of your neck, where your neck joins your skull, and just palpate there a little bit. So it should just feel like a nice massage. So when you find that spot that kind of your body goes, ooh, that's so nice, grab your block, bring it onto its middle end, and then keep the chin tucked in towards your throat. And then place the edge of the block on that spot where you had your thumb. So this should feel really nice and relaxing. Keeping the back of the neck long, and then relaxing the shoulders back down away from the ears. So you can have your block flat, or maybe you can bring it on a little angle, and you can create a little bit of traction there. So if you have it on an angle, then just make sure you're very careful that it's not going to slide out. So make sure the angle's not too far, and then you can either have an angle, or if you've got this flat and it's quite comfortable to move on it, you can maybe very slowly just start turning your head from side to side. So you release the neck, and then as you turn from side to side, add a very slow and gentle nod of the head. The shoulders relaxed, inside the hips, palms facing up. you start to release through the jaw. Maybe you can open and close the mouth. If you hold tension in your jaw, if you're releasing the shoulders, you feel that release coming down through the neck and shoulders. And we can relax the shoulders a little bit further down away from the ears into their sockets. Allowing everything to soften, deepening the breath. Ready, let's slowly lift the head, remove your block, and then keeping the back of the neck long. Relaxing shoulders, neck, and head back down. Relax yourself back down in Shavasana. Grab whatever you need, otherwise just stay in your Shavasana and melting down. Let's deepen the breath. Every feeling. Observing the breath, observing the energy flow. Let's breathing into it and allowing everything just to assimilate and integrate. So if you're watching this as a video replay, I encourage you to stay in Shavasana a little bit longer, maybe next 10 minutes or so. I'm just going to get up and say goodbye and stop the recording. Thank you. Namaste.